Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, which is CRM reporting FAQs. I'm Louise, I'm Head of Sales, and I'll be taking you through today's demonstration. So really small agenda. Basically, we're going to take you through some commonly asked questions about our reports and report build within Prospect CRM. And then we're going to open up the floor a little bit for a live Q&A just at the end. So if there's any questions that you've got, I'll give you a chance. Obviously, you can ask them as we go through, and I'll pick them up in the chat at the end when we do the live Q&A section. Okay, so let's get on and have a look at some of the commonly asked questions with our report builder, which have definitely come from our customers and are just things that will help you kind of get the most out of this report building solution. So I'm just going to share a different screen now and bring you on to our Prospect CRM solution. So with the report builder, obviously we have that ability for you to create your own reports, and there's quite a lot of features within there, and obviously some of those do come with questions. So again, these are ones that customers have asked in the past and do frequently come up when we're doing report builder training and so on. So we have got one here, which is how to add grouping to reports. So the grouping feature allows you to actually segment your results within your reports into different groups within actually in the report itself. So an example of this is grouping maybe a company report by company industry type. So just to show you how to start the grouping or how you might want to do grouping, if I just open up one of our standard reports here, so we've got our company search report. So at the moment you can see, so we're in a testing system at the moment, so there's not too much data in here, but you can see here at the moment our company's report is listed by, and you've got a list of all of your companies within here. So what you can actually do, if we go to the menu at the top of the report here, so you've got a little 3-dot menu, in there you've got an option which is grouping and summary. So if I click on that, down the side are the tree structure of reports or fields that you can actually add the report to group by. So if I just expand that out, so from the company search report, we've then got the company section, which then expands out further to give you a full list of company fields that you can actually group or summarize this report by. So you can expand this out further to find the fields that you're interested in actually using here. So as I said, just for the example type, we're going to group this by industry. So you can see here under the company, I've got our industry field. And in there, I can drag and drop the description over into the grouping section, which will provide us with the ability to actually segment that report as mentioned. So drag and drop that over, and I can put that into that group section. Once I click submit, you'll get the option then to see the report as it is grouped. So you can see here, obviously not a lot of industry data within our test system, but it will give you the title of the industry as the group name. And you will obviously, if you've got multiple industries, have multiple groups down here where you then get an arrow to kind of expand or kind of decompress that report section back up. So if I expand that out, you can then see all my companies that fall under that particular industry title. So then you can save this report. So once you've finished your grouping, you can click save, and it will give you the option then to save that report either for yourself or the ability to kind of share that with other people as well. So one of the other most commonly requested reports that we get on is how to actually create your own monthly sales report. So we already do have monthly sales reports within the system. So you can see some here on the dashboard reports. But if you want to create your own report based on sales history, you can create this via our report builder. So firstly, if I go to the create section here, we've got the option to create a new report entity, which I can just select from that drop down. the first thing it will ask you to do is actually select what you want to report on. So obviously in this scenario, we're looking at sales history. If you put all of your orders through Prospect CRM, you can start at order rather than sales history, but obviously sales history does encompass everything that we import from your customers, from your back-end ERP inventory system, including invoices and so on. So it does really depend kind of how you manage that and where you want to start that report from. So I'm just going to, for this demo purpose, select a sales history to actually start reporting on. So if I type in here sales transactions, you then get the option, it will filter this report or the report entity selection down. And I want to start at sales transaction because that is the data that I want to see within my report. So I'm going to select that and it will give you just a quick view of that data and how it might look in the report at the moment. So obviously we'll get through this and we'll start doing filtering and adding some different columns and stuff. But it does just give you a quick view of exactly what this report will show as its most basic form. So I'm going to click through and I'm going to, sorry, if I just go back there and start that again, I just clicked through a bit too much there to show you what I was actually trying to show you. So if I just go back and do sales transaction, the next section you get is the ability to then actually choose what data you want to see within your report. So basically being able to choose what data based on the system fields that we have as your column headers essentially for the report. So it will automatically select some kind of system standard fields for you that you might want to see in this report. Obviously, depending on what you actually want to get from this, you can change those or indeed add your own other options in here as well. So we might want to see the margin percentage on this as well. And you can go through and actually choose the different fields that you want to see within your sales report. So when I click through to next, that will give you the view of this report already. And we can then start filtering this down to actually show some real results based on date ranges, etc. So at the moment, I've just got a list of all the sales transaction lines for all of my customers from day dot, for instance. So the first thing I want to do is actually go and put some filtering in here. So I can filter this based on a date range. And again, completely dependent on how you guys or report in your business on sales. That could be once it's been invoiced, or it could be on the order date. So again, in here, you've got the choice to actually report on invoice date or on order date. So if I go to show more, this does help you a little bit because it is in alphabetical order. So, and you can search the fields up here. So if I wanted to search for or filter for order date, I can start searching for order date and it will filter the list of fields down for me. So I'm going to select that as my filter. And then I want to say, so you can do lots of different options in here. So I can say, show me all of the sales this month, or I can say between a specific date. And this filter can be saved. So you can do, different quarter reports or different monthly reports, different weekly reports on sales. And you can actually save this filter as a favorite. And if I do show favorites only, you can then, every time you come into this report, you can go through and actually change the date range to show the sales that you actually want to see. You then got the abilities as well to start grouping this. So again, I can show the count of orders within that particular date range, and I can also maybe summarize this by value as well. And I can do that by excluding or including tax. And again, I just drag and drop those fields over into the summary section, click submit, and at the top, you will then get a view of actually how much sales have been taken in that date range directly at the top without having to kind of, export this and calculate it up. And within this particular date range, I've taken 131 orders lines from my customers. So that will give you a sales report in its most basic form. You can go through and add more filters as well. So if I wanted to do it for a specific customer, I can do that. Or again, you can do it based on customer type, etc. as well. And then again, you can say this is a new report. It will ask you to give it a name. So demo sales history report. I can choose where I want to save my report as well. So I can place it in a specific folder within our navigation menu down the side. So I'm going to put that in sales reports. And again, you can choose whether this report is just for you, you want to share it with all CRM users, or you can convert it into a data set, which is something that helps you build up more complex reports later on. So I'm just going to save that report into my sales report and call it Demo Sales History. So another report that is used quite widely and is a question that we get asked quite often is to do with our top product report. So it's where you can actually see by customer what are your top performing products. And in its basic form, in its standard form, it doesn't have a date range on it. And one of the most common questions we ask, because obviously you do want to do reporting in different date ranges, etc. So one of the most common questions on that report is actually how to add a date range so you can see the top products purchased in a particular time period. So if I just go and find that report, which is in product reports, and if I just search for it, we can search for top products. So as you can see here, this is basically just as it says, a top products report. It will show you by product, the value of the products that are being sold. And this is from, from day dot again on your sales history. But as I mentioned, you can actually reduce this down into different timeframes using our filtering once again. So in the top menu on any report you can do this on, by the way, this is just one of the ones that is most commonly asked about adding a date range to. I'm going to go to the filters option. And you can see here that we've already got some filters built up within here. These are standard report filters that are required to actually show the data on this report. And this report is actually what we call a cubed report, which allows us to provide the top products as you've seen it in its kind of basic form here. So the first thing we need to do is just change a couple of these filters just to kind of remove the time frame reporting that we've got at the moment. So we need to set the grouping month and year. So I've got the group in month at the top. I need to just set that from 1 to 0. And I'm going to do the same with the grouping year as well. And as I said, that just means that we are now grouping the report by certain dates rather than return results for a given time period. So once I've made that change, I can then go and add my new date range filter. And in this report, it's called rounded date. So I'm going to select that as my date range filter that I want to add in. I'm going to click continue. And if I scroll down, I can save that as a favorite and just make sure we only show favorites on here so it doesn't get too confusing when you're coming in to change that. And again, you get all the options within here to show you or for you to select what date range you're actually looking at. So I can do last month, for instance, again, or I can do last year and so on. And you can continuously change that filter. I've saved it as you can save it as a favorite, as I mentioned. So every time you come in to look at this report, you can change what data or what time period of data it is showing you at any one time. Any changes that you do make, like a filter or making those filters one of your favorite filters, anything that you do change in this report will then give you the option to save that going forward as well. So just make sure you are doing that when you're changing reports, if it is something obviously you want to use going forward. So I'm just going to save that change and I'm going to share that with everybody. Another common question that we get asked is often to do with our opportunity reports. And one of those is how to actually start grouping those. So again, a similar question to the first one that we had in terms of just a generalized grouping question. But the opportunities, obviously, there's quite a lot of categorization that you can do around opportunities. And it's all about, this question is all about understanding how you might want to group that opportunity report based on different categorizations that you have. The most common one that we do get is how you group your open opportunities report by status. So if I just show you that as an example today, so if we go into the sales reports and go into reports, we've got all open opportunities as a report within here. And again, if you wanted to, you can search this report list as well for the one you want. And if you use a report quite often, you can add that as a favorite. So if I just go back and show you that again, sorry, you can click at the side of the report and add that to your favorite. So that will show up in your favorite section at the top. So really good to use if you are using reports on a daily basis quite frequently. So I'm just going to go and open that report. And as again, like our first report, at the moment, you can just see a list of all of your open opportunities. In your filters, you might want to add a date range, obviously, so you can start looking at all open opportunities that were created in a certain period. But obviously, the question that we've been asked is about grouping. So as you said here, we've got a list of all open opportunities. If I go back to our little menu at the top, go back to our grouping and summary option, you can see that the top entity here is opportunity. So it will give you all of the fields and categorizations available from an opportunity record, which will allow you to start making these kind of groups up again. So I can go and I can just drag over that if I just actually do the status description, because that's what we actually want to see. So I can go and group this report by status, opportunity status itself. We can also summarize this as well. So if I wanted to group it, but also give the group title a summary of, let's say, order value or opportunity value, I can go and do that as well. So if I put in weighted value there, we can summarize that at the bottom. And if I click submit, you'll then see that this report, there's obviously quite a lot of data in here. So sometimes it might take a little while to kind of render that new report and group all that data up just from the first time of loading that. It will take a couple of minutes just to kind of make all the changes and also add that summary in there as well. And that will then return the results back to you with your new segmented grouped report. I'm actually just going to change that just so I don't want us to waste time waiting for reports to load. I'm just going to take out the summary there and group that by, there we go. So you can see here, I've got all my groups now. So all of my different opportunity statuses. So these will be different for your businesses, obviously, depending on what your sales workflow is. But you can see all of my opportunities are now grouped in this report. I've got my awaiting PO, in process, in sales process, quotation, etc., sample sent, unqualified, and it's got a number within each of those segmented groups. And once again, I can go through and I can expand those different groups out to see the different opportunities within each of those. And as I've mentioned quite a few times, just don't forget to save the changes that you are making. So I'm just going to make my own copy of that one. So quite a lot of our, as you'll notice through this webinar, quite a lot of our questions are around grouping. It is a really nice way to kind of structure your reports and kind of get really into the granular detail. But another one that we often get is how to group by account manager or industry. And that's typically to do with sales reports. So you might have different streams of sales going on, whether that's by different salespeople. You might want to target different industries in a certain way. So you are able to actually group reports, sales reports, based on all those kind of things as well. So if I just go back to that sales report I created earlier, and we'll use that as the kind of base for this. So if I go to demo and just find that report we created a little bit earlier in this webinar. So we've got my kind of, as I said, base sales report that we created, and we can go and actually add some grouping to this. So again, just from the menu, you can go to grouping and summary. I've already added some summarization in here, but now I'm going to come back and actually add some groups. So obviously the most common one is sales by account manager or by salesperson. So within here, I can go down and expose more fields within here. So I'm going to go down to the invoice sales ledger, which will then bring us to our default company fields. So from within here, I then have my account manager field. So we store an account manager against a company. So if you obviously want to group or add a field onto the report, you just need to make sure that you're going down to the right section where that field is held. So as I said, account manager is held on company. So from within here, I can go and group that by account manager name. Click submit. And that will then group this by all the account managers I have in the system. And if you've got any kind of companies that aren't assigned, you obviously do get an unassigned account manager group down here as well. And then obviously you can see whether or not you want to actually assign those to an account manager going forward. But in here, I can then break this down by account manager, and I can see straight away how many opportunities or sales have been made, by my different salespeople or account managers through that time period that I've added. You can also group by industry. So if you wanted to report on that instead, or kind of break it down by industry, we can do that. And again, we just need to make sure that we're on or opened up the company section of the fields, because that's where we store company industry. And if I go to the company, I've then got my industry section where I can again go and start grouping by industry. And this time, obviously through here, we've now got our industry grouping rather than account manager. So another quite important one that we get is about kind of looking at more sales ledger stats, such as being able to see average order value of all of my customers, or show me this my sales for the last 365 days. And that's all to do with, again, the sales history that we bring in, which is stored in the system, and you can kind of go through and report on and manipulate as much as you want to get the results that you want. So as I said, the more commonly asked question is how you go about creating those reports and getting that information in. So in order to do this, we need to go and create a new report again. And we're going to start at a company level, because obviously the report data that we want it to show is for our companies or our customers within the system. So that's one of the kind of more commonly used ones. So you'll find that on this straight on the start here, but you can go and search obviously through here as well. So I'm going to click on company. That will again show me the base view of what this report would look like. I can go through to next, and I can then start selecting the fields that I want to actually add into my report. So obviously it will select some that are most commonly used. So definitely company name has already been selected. But I want to show the account management name in this report as well. I also want to show my average turnover per customer too. So if you can't see a field that's already in this list, you can go and expand further to show more record fields as well. So the turnover is a company field, but it's not showing at the moment. So I'm just going to go to show more and open up some more information about this particular record. And I'm going to scroll down, and one of the options I will have here is turnover. I can also then add further information such as average sales. So I'm going to go up to the top. I'm going to search for a field, and if I search for average, it will then start bringing me the average value. So that's the turnover field that I want to add in. And I also might want to add in some more information about a customer. So let's have a look at adding some further information about the company. So I can also add things in like the company address as well. And I can start really making this report my own. So again, we can add an industry in here as well. And you can see at the top what your column headers will be, and you can move these around if you want to kind of make the report look a little bit different once it returns the results. So that's my report with all the column headers in at the moment. And I can actually go, so the turnover and average value, I probably want to go and filter down as well. So we can go in here and add some further filters from our company stats. So we do hold quite a lot of information on sales ledger value, such as RFM segmentation, average order value, and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to come down to the default sales ledger section. I'm going to expand that out, and I'm going to look for our sales ledger stats, which you can see here. And again, it makes it really simple. I'm just showing you this kind of tree version of kind of outlook as per the demo, but you can go and search in here as well. So I can search for RFM, and I might want to basically then show on here the RFM rank by my customers, and I can filter by that. So lots of filtering options on here, and being able to report on different sales ledger information, all through this company reporting tool using the filters. And also I can go and add some further fields in as well. So if I wanted to show some of that data in the report itself rather than filter, I can scroll down, I can go to default sales ledger, I can open up my sales ledger stats, and I can also show in here things like the order day warnings for each of my customers, and sales values, etc., all from just this kind of tree report within here. And then again, you can go and you can add some grouping and summary. So I can show count, and I can go and actually then show a count based on last year's sales, for instance. And then you'll see a view there of last year's sales for all of your customer base. And you can go and again save that report into the report section. You can give it a name, and you can go through and add those either for yourself or for other users as well. So another more commonly report that we get asked to create, or our customers are unsure how to create, is to do with user activity. And specifically with, so when you're going through and adding activities within the CRM, you obviously have the opportunity to add notes to those activities or tasks. So it's really common for our customers to want to report on what their users are doing. It might be for KPI reporting, such as you need to make X amount of calls or complete X amount of meetings a week. So these user reports or activity reports allow you to report on that kind of KPI scenario. So we do have the ability for you to see user activity within kind of the profile section. So if you're a manager, you do get access to this for your users, but within the user section, you do have an activity feed already, which is, you know, just showing you exactly what records your users are in, what they're doing, etc. But if you wanted to go and actually create this as a kind of KPI report, you can also do that. So the user activity reports can be created from either the activity entity itself. So you can see I've got activity, but if you want to actually show the written notes that are being added into the activity, or the last note that was added, you're going to want to start from activity note, and then we can work our way up from that to the activity fields such as activity type, the date of the activity that was set, etc., etc. So just for the demo purposes, I am going to use the activity notes so I can show you that we can actually include the text of the user activity on the reports as well. So again, it just gives you a quick brief overview of what the base report will look like. From here, I can then add the fields to make up my activity report and those all important column headers which give us the detail that we're looking for. So I can add in the date that the activity was created or actioned. It does give you a few options in here, so you can basically set how you want that date to be viewed. So you can have the relative date, like today or 2 months ago, yesterday, etc. You can actually select the actual date, or you can also include the time of day and the date as well. That's probably quite useful for an activity report, but I'm going to just select the actual date format from this selection here. I'm also going to add in the task date as well. So again, if you can't see the field that you're looking for, try clicking on show more, which does open up the full list of activity note fields that are available. So I'm going to put in here the task date, the username, so the person that actually set or created the task itself or the activity. And I'm also going to select the text, which is actually what gives us the view of the note that was added. And I'm also going to include in this report what company the actual activity was set against. So I'm going to use the company name. And also it's quite relevant or quite often that the activity is added against a particular contact that you're speaking to. So I'm going to go and also select the contact name for where the user actually set that activity or completed that activity. So again, at the top, you can see how this kind of report will start to build up and start to look as you go through. So now we've got the correct data that we actually want to see. So you can see here, I've got the date that the activity was created, the task date. So if a follow-up task has been set, you can see that within this report as well. It's got the name of the person who actually made that activity or created that activity within the system. It's got the note from within the notepad or the activity pad itself. And you've also got the company name and contact name for that activity and where it was set. Now, obviously, this is just a full list of all of the kind of activities that have gone on within your user base. But when you start wanting to report on KPIs and finding out what users are doing, we obviously kind of want to make that a little bit more filterable, so you can do it basically by activity type, by user, by activity date range, etc. So maybe what you want to do here is maybe want to start grouping it by activity type itself. So I'm going to go to show more, activity history, activity type. I'm going to put accounting as well. So I can see all the different activity types. And again, these are customizable activity types for your system. So these will be based on whatever you have in your kind of activity drop downs. And at the moment, I've got 171 activities that have been completed by any one of my users at any time. So we also want to then go and add some filters to this, which is the activity or the user. So I can then do reports based on each of my users. And if I go back to the filters, I can say that the user is support, for instance, prospects of support user. And that will filter those results down. I can also go and add some further filters in, such as activity type as well. So if you wanted to just look at a specific activity type of meeting created or incoming call, again, you can go and use the filter for this as well. So if I put in show more, activity history, I can then start filtering down by activity type as well. I can say I want to show just all of the incoming calls that have been made. And again, you can also quite clearly for these reports, you want to add a date range into these as well. So I can go and say, show me all of the activities that were created today, last month, last week, and so forward. And that will start, obviously there's none in here. If we do between, you can also add some dates in, so between July and August, or actually we'll do end of October. So again, you've got lots of filtering opportunities there. You can start reporting on user activity by date, by type, and you can also, as I said, group this report either by user or type to really get into the kind of finer details of the activities that are going on by users in your system. So I'm just going to open up the floor now to some live questions. Obviously, a couple of you have been asking as we've been going through, but if there's any kind of questions that you want to ask now, please go ahead and type those in the question and answers box. We'll try and get through all of them, but obviously if we don't, we can come back to those offline, but we can go through and look at those for you. So one of the questions that we've got is, can you have reports scheduled to send out via email? So you can, you can't do that in the system. There's no standard way of doing that, but it is something that we can create customly for our customers. And that might be the reason we don't have it as standard is because everybody wants some different report going at some different time. So there's no real way of actually creating that as a standard procedure. But if it's something you want to have a look at, then maybe you can have a chat with one of our customer success team. If you give us a call or open up an online chat, we'll be able to talk you through that and see what it is you're actually looking for and how we might be able to help you. But the idea is obviously, you can build these reports up and people can run them as they need at any time without having to wait for them to be sent. So maybe that is something that we need to look at. Maybe you just don't have the right reports for the right users to kind of run as and when required. And obviously these reports are always updating, so they are a live view of exactly what's going on as well. Okay, so another question we've got is, where can I get further report assistance? Yes, so obviously webinars, we can't go through everything and we try and answer as many questions as we can, but it's not really very interactive. We do have quite a lot of ways of you getting more report assistance. So we've got our Academy site where you can go. So if you're in with Prospect CRM, if you go to the question mark at the top taskbar, we have an Academy site in there, which has lots of information about reports, a report builder, which should help you. There's videos in there and so on. We also, in our what's new section, if we open that out, you can actually filter this down by hints and tips. And quite a lot of our hints and tips are about report building and just kind of, as it says, hints and tips on how to use report builder with in the best way. So you've got lots of information in there that might answer some of your questions. You've also got our online chat. So again, you can access this through the help section in Prospect CRM. So if you've kind of got a one-off question as you're building a report and you're not sure how to progress it, we're obviously more than happy to help you. Our customer success team is available from 8:30 till 5 to be able to help you with those questions over our online chat. And we do also offer more tailored one-to-one training, and that could be with 1 or 2 or more users within your company. But we do offer that kind of training consultancy as well. There is a cost involved in that, but if you give us a call or speak to somebody, drop us an email, we'll be able to, based on your requirements, tell you how long we think you might need, and we can work that out with you and put a good training plan in place. And obviously with that one-to-one training, you can get quite a more in-depth with what you're trying to achieve with Report Builder as well. Another question that's just come in is, can I move columns within reports? Yeah, you can. So if I expand this out, you can see we've got the column headers here. You don't have to go into the kind of the select field section to do that. If you're in a report and you want to reorganize this, you can definitely just drag and drop those filters. If I just remove the grouping of this to show you, because otherwise it's going to keep redoing that as I'm moving them. You can move them about, so you can jig the report as you need to, and you can save those again for yourself or for other users as well. Why don't I have an option to save for everyone? Yes, sorry, I probably should have mentioned that. So when you go to the save on an existing report, or when you're creating a new one, as you saw, you've got these kind of different options. You will only have save this report just for me if you're not an admin user. If you have admin rights in the system, you will then get the option to share a report with all CRM users as well. So that is a user setting that is dictated by your company. So if you're an admin, you will get all of these options. If you're not an admin, you will just get the option to create and save reports for yourself as well. Can I include custom fields in reports? Yes, definitely. So obviously within Prospect CRM, you have the ability to create custom fields against different records. And all of those fields, if you create a custom field, it will automatically place itself in our report builder drop down of fields or tree view of fields. And within that kind of select field section, under each record type, so if I go to the company and scroll down, you will see you get a custom field section. And from there, you can then choose any custom field that you've added into the system and add that onto your report. So all custom fields that you create are reportable for sure. And can you sort reports? Yes, you can. That is something, if I just go back to this report, you can sort based on any column header. So if I wanted to sort this by date range, for instance, you can just click on the columns and sort it descending or ascending based on your requirements. And that is possible with all of our reports on all of the column headers, whether it's by alphabetical or date range, etc. So that's all the questions that we've got on the live. So I think if anybody, I'll give you a couple of minutes just to ask any more, or a minute or so, just to see if there's any other questions that are going to come in. Clearly, obviously, if you do have any questions that you haven't thought about today, and you do have questions about the report builder and some of the reports that you are building, and as I said, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can phone us, drop us an email. We've got the online chat feature, and obviously there's the Academy site and the hints and tips that really are useful. And those hints and tips are made up of these kind of commonly asked questions by our customer base. So if there's anything or any questions that you do ask, we'll probably go and add those to our hints and tips later on as well. So definitely do ask us. We're more than willing to help. Obviously, the questions that you do have. If you want to get further into the report builder and look at, creating more kind of crazy reports I haven't been able to show you today, then we can do the one-to-one training with you as well. So just give us a call and we'll be able to kind of talk you through the next options for you. So I hope that was helpful. If there's any other questions that you've got, as I said, please don't hesitate to let us know. But I hope you have a great afternoon, and thank you very much for joining today.